welcome to the Gridiron Grapevine. Today we welcome the husband and wife duo of Casey and Derek Reed. They have been athletic trainers for the past 10 years and they're entering their 11th season. Thank y'all for joining us. So most people, when they think of athletic trainers, they know that the trainers are the ones that hand out the water bottles and they see y'all race out on the field when there's an injury. But can y'all elaborate a little bit about what athletic trainers do?
Yeah, well, athletic trainers do a lot. I think the main focus is the health and safety of student athletes when it comes down to it. Whether that be from carrying water bottles, like you said, and making sure they're hydrated, to taping ankles to make sure they don't sprain them in the games, to game coverage, just a whole lot of different things, even down to insurance, paperwork, that kind of stuff. And when you get down to like the high school level, you end up with odd jobs. I'll get sent to the store to pick up Gatorade, or I'll throw in a load of laundry, stuff like that. So there's a lot of things we do, but when it comes down to it, the main focus, is the health and safety of the students.
Why is it vital for schools to have an athletic trainer?
Once again, just safety. Our coaches care about our kids and they want what's best for them. But they're CPR trained. They're all, AED certified. But their eyes during a game are on the field, and they don't have the time to turn around and double check. And so, if a kid goes in with a concussion and goes back in and gets another one, that can be catastrophic. And so, obviously, we're licensed and certified healthcare professionals, and so we know those things to look for. That maybe they wouldn't see or wouldn't have time to notice on the sideline. And then also I'm out at a lot of rural communities, and so it takes 30 minutes for the ambulance to get there. And so having someone that can stabilize that athlete, if they have a spinal cord injury or something more significant, so the coaches can stay back with the team and, help the players during that time.
I know for the rural communities, it's huge to have some person that has some medical background to be there, like you said, because of the distance to the nearest hospital or emergency care. So both of you are employed by two different employers. Can you elaborate on the similarities and differences between your day-to-day schedules?
Yeah, we're both athletic trainers, both have the same degree, but our schedules are not really similar at all, because I'm at a high school full-time. So my day starts before school with morning treatment for any athletes that might be injured that need to come in and get some treatment or do some rehab. So we start there, and then once school starts, I'll have classes come over. I have a couple sports medicine classes that I teach. And then just throughout the day, we have those classes, we have athletic periods, and then when school's over, that's when all the practices start. Practice, especially during football season, it lasts quite a while sometimes. So we might start at 3:45, 4 o'clock, and go till 6 or 6:30. And then after that, they come in, get more treatment, they watch film, and usually it's at least 7 o'clock before I'm pulling out of the parking lot. So that's a full day, but that's my schedule through a high school. Hers is completely different. So it just depends on the setting that you're working in as to how that goes.
You want to elaborate?
So at the hospital, I spend half of my time in an orthopedic surgeon's office. Whether that's evaluating, casting, splinting, but also calling the schools like Derek, who has a full-time athletic trainer. We see the kids in the office and then they go home and Derek says, "What did the doctor tell you?" "Well, I don't know." And so I'm there to help with that communication, make sure they're following, if they have a concussion, like a 504 plan, to some accommodations, helping with any rehab, like specific rehab requests. And then when I'm not in there, I'm out at the schools evaluating, covering Friday night football games, stuff like that too.
So coaches get an off season, but athletic trainers don't. So can you give us how much time you spend throughout the year? Because I know football has certain time availabilities in it, but then also other sports as well. So how much time do y'all put in throughout the year?
Yeah, you can break down a school year into basically 3 different activity or athletic seasons. and usually a coach will coach 2 out of those 3. So they might coach football and then maybe skip basketball and go to baseball or something like that. But yeah, as an athletic trainer, you don't get to skip any of those. You just go right into the next sport once one sport's over. So um, I've worked. Let's see, during football season, usually it's 65 hours a week is usually what it is, and that's a lot. But even more so in the spring, you have all the other sports to pick up, and that's what people they don't realize all the time. They think football might be your busiest time of the year, but when spring starts, you've got basketball finishing up, you've got baseball, softball, soccer, tennis, golf, powerlifting. I might even be missing one, I'm not sure. But I had my longest year this year. I worked a girls basketball playoff game Monday, a boys basketball game Tuesday. They don't play anything on Wednesdays in high school. Then we hosted a softball tournament Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So by the end of the week, I put in 76 hours. So that's a lot more than a typical football week. I think I've hit 80 a couple times in my career, but that's usually the high mark right there. Also, I'm kind of a stats nerd, so I keep up with the spreadsheet with all the games and events that I've worked since I started, just so I would know and go back and look at it. And
So cool.
and after 10 years, I've worked over 1,300 games, which, looking at that number, it didn't seem that big to me. But when I broke it down into the school year from August to May, that would be like working a game 4 to 5 nights every week for that whole time for 10 years. So when you look at it that way, it does add up. So you definitely do put in your hours for sure.
Is it
I just
similar?
don't keep track of it. I still want to know.
It's long.
Yes.
It's long.
It is.
So with the number of hours that both of you are putting in, how do you all make it work with 2 small children?
I mean, the secret is that you don't do it by yourself. You know, no matter what it is, whether you're the CEO of a company or athletic trainers, you can't do it by yourself. And so we're lucky enough to have a big family that helps us out. And a lot of times they'll throw them in the car and they'll come to the games with us. So Derek always has the girls in his stands on Friday night. And, you know, I every now and then get to take them to my games. And thankfully, you know, in high school, these coaches get the hours and they get how important family time is. So, you know, the coaches become like adopted parents to them. And, you know, our athletes become big brothers and big sisters. And, you know, they have free range in the indoor facility to play any kind of game you want to play with the other coaches' kids. And so it's definitely a family environment. And just really lucky that, you know, we have family that can help us when we need to.
That is wonderful.
I like to think that we don't have bedtimes at our house, because if we had bedtimes, then nobody would see each other during the school year, because we don't get home until who knows when. But I like to also think it's important the way that you look at it and go into it. If you look at it like, let's just get through this year or whatever, you're not going to be able to enjoy all those moments and memories that you make, because I was a coach's kid growing up, and I played in the field houses and climbed through lockers and got into stuff in the equipment room and all that, and was on the sidelines, and that's memories that you make. And it's the same thing with our kids that come to the games, and they get to go down on the field afterwards and ride the bus home with us and go to treatments in the morning on Saturday, and just build those memories. And I know both of y'all did the same thing growing up, and your mom tutored high school kids and athletes, and y'all had athletes over for dinner, because I was one of those. And I came over and ate, and I would be willing to bet that y'all would agree that those are some of your most memorable memories that you had growing up, is spending time with that. So it's important. It's busy, but it's important that you take time to notice and make those memories.
And the relationships. Like Casey was talking about, the relationships that you build with the athletes and the coaches. I mean, that's something that's going to last a lifetime as well.
Oh yeah, and especially coaches too. Same thing. I mean, you see coaches at a school every year, and then they move off, and then you go to a different school, and you see those same coaches at other places, and their kids growing up, and it's a special bond. if you're living in that world.
Absolutely. So what, even with all the time, with the specialness that you find within your job, what makes you come back and do it every year, again and again?
I mean, I would say, obviously going to the state championship games are fun. My teams have yet to win one. We've been there a couple times. I bet we're close, but
Not like this guy was.
no.
How many now? 5?
Yeah, 5.
And our oldest thinks that Cowboy Stadium was built for Daddy's team to play in. Instead of, so, the Cowboys are just borrowing. But, I think the biggest thing is, we meet these kids in 6th and 7th grade and they're so awkward and they've never been asked to do all of these things they're being asked to do. And so you build those relationships and, get to see them get stronger. And then we're there when they get hurt. And for a lot of these kids, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to their life. They've never had to overcome something that they're the one that's in charge. We can give them all the rehab plan, but if they don't do it, then that's on them. And so having to watch them overcome, not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally, and being there for them. And then maybe 6 to 9 months later, we get to be on the field and watch them go back. And so that's what's really cool, to be able to be there through that whole process with them.
Yeah, as an athletic trainer, it's satisfying whenever you get to see kids come back from injury. You work with so many sports, but we're in East Texas, and everybody here knows that football is king in East Texas. And I know that's my favorite part about being a trainer, is that I get to work with and be a part of Friday night football and being under the Friday night lights, because it's a whole process. It's not just showing up to the stands at 7:15 for a 7:30 game. It's as soon as you wake up and get to school on that Friday, you're in game mode, and you're icing down Gatorades for post-game meals. You're setting out uniforms and jerseys and loading the equipment truck and going to pep rallies and going to meetings to make sure that the kids have the schemes down and they know what they're doing that night. And then traveling to the games or getting to the home games, whatever it is, we get there as trainers 3 or 4 hours before the game starts, and we get the sidelines ready and the locker room ready, and as soon as the bus gets here with the players, they're hopping on tables and we're taping ankles and getting them ready to go. And then you've got the band that shows up, and you've got whole communities that will show up and fill the stands, and it's just a special feeling when you're down there on the field and there's thousands of people around you for a high school football game. It's just something special. And then even just after the game, the rush of picking everything up, loading, going back, and getting to the field house at midnight and putting everything up. And then you get home and you're still on that high from the game, and you can't go to bed until 2 or 3 in the morning. It's just something that's hard to explain unless you're part of it, and it's special is the way that I put it. So
absolutely, I agree completely. It is an entity all of its own, and it is difficult to describe, but you did a really good job of it. Well, thank y'all so much for joining us, and we wish y'all the very best this season.
Well, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.